Hello, and thank you for tuning into another video. Today I'm going to be telling you about some of my favorite abilities in World of Warcraft. Yes, there are tons of awesome looking abilities in this game, but if I had to narrow it down to a list, this is what they would be. Keep in mind, this is a completely subjective list and everyone has different taste, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. The first abilities on this list are warrior abilities, namely Bladestorm and Rampage. Just the name Bladestorm sounds badass in itself, and it looks just as good. You're literally spinning around in a whirlwind of brute force, shredding anything that gets in your way. Rampage is just as cool, as it uses 70 rage, and you can basically swing your swords around, chopping your target into little California rolls. Both of these abilities just seem to fit the warrior so well, especially for the Fury Warrior, just because it's so, brutal. Just as brutal as a spec wielding two-handed swords in each hand. Yeah, you're definitely going to want to chop something up in a brutal fashion if that's the case. Up next, Elemental Blast. Elemental Blast is essentially harnessing the power of all the elements into one big nasty fuck-off spell. Not only is this on a fairly short cooldown, not only does it provide a temporary stat boost, but it's visually stunning, and it's really colorful. The class fantasy is also something that Blizz has nailed with this spec, Elemental, and spells like this do nothing but show that. Come on, lava, frost, it just all comes together. You know, it's a shaman, you're a master of the elements, and Elemental Blast shows that. Well done, Blizzard. Well done. Up next, we have the Demon Hunter's Metamorphosis. Now, some people would probably rank this ability much higher, but I personally think it suffers slightly due to the fact that it doesn't really do much but enhance your current abilities. While it does look awesome and badass, and it's a nice throwback to Warcraft 3, I just expected it to grant more abilities, or, I don't know, just something else aside from what it already does. But that aside, it couldn't really look much better than it already does. You're turning into a half-demon that's trapped inside of you and unleashing Fellfire all over the place. And it's very satisfying to pop it, followed by some sweet, sweet cleave and a very nice, juicy I-beam. I-beam, hella badass. The gameplay, hella fun. You're just flying around everywhere, chopping everything up. Metamorphosis, cherry on top. Following Metamorphosis is an ability from another melee class in the form of the Outlaw Rogue. The ability Killing Spree, where you leap around and cut your enemy to pieces from flying around back and forth, front and center, is an awesome thing to behold. It does a very good job of fitting the spec's theme of being a combative swashbuckler. Apart from Killing Spree itself, I find Outlaw's combat in general to be glorious, with the endless hack and slash, the thrusting, the hack and slash, the boomstick, the thrusting, the hack and slash. It all just fits. It's one of the main reasons I log on to my rogue, because glorious combat, and I'm a pirate. Next is a class that has some of the best spell effects in the game since the beginning. The Mage. Mages are awesome. Arcane mages even. Not as good as Frost and Fire, but they're still pretty cool. With Arcane Missiles and Arcane Barrage being a satisfying way to unleash pure power of the arcane upon your foes, it is Supernova that takes the cake as my favorite ability in the Arcane spec. It looks just as it sounds, a burst of arcane energy that blasts anything around it. Go into a dungeon and unleash it upon adds. The more adds, the better. Continuing the Mage love is a new Frost Mage ability in the form of Glacial Spike. Frost is typically a fun spec to play anyway, but if you pick Glacial Spike as a talent, it does just that much more for the spec. Every time you get 5 stacks of your icicles, which you get from casting Frostbolt, Glacial Spike will proc, and you'll merge all 5 of your icicles into a massive chunk of ice resembling a piece of a glacier, to hurl at your targets. Yeah, a glacier. What more could you want in terms of badass frost spells? You're launching a glacier. Yep, Chosen Defenders of Azeroth. Interrupting the Mage train is the Balance Druid with its artifact ability, New Moon, which on the 3rd cast becomes Full Moon. I mean, just look at it. Not only are you calling down the moon, but put that with Starfall and you're calling down the power of the moon and the stars. And it's glorious. Come on, if Boomies didn't have Starfall, let's be honest here, how many of us would still log on to our Boomies? Don't get me wrong, the spec is great, it's just fine, it's fun by itself, but come on, freaking Starfall, man. Freaking Starfall. Reigniting the Mage train is Phoenix's Flames and Meteor by the Fire Mage. What could speak a master of fire and flames more than launching a flaming phoenix at your enemies to have it explode on impact and burn everything around it? Even better, calling down a massive flaming meteor. Just look at it. It's a meteor. I know it's not the talent choice for optimal DPS, but I don't care. Who should care, aside from high-end raiders? It holds its own, and it looks simply amazing, because, guess what? It's a meteor. And now, before we go in at number 1, prepare yourself for glory incarnate. The gosh diddly darn Paladins. A bit more specifically, the Holy Paladins. Just look! Consecration, Hammer of Justice, Avenging Wrath, Sacred Shield, Divine Shield, Tears Deliverance, Blinding Light, hell, even Cleanse. They're all the essence of the brilliant and glorious looking paladins that were always meant to be. Now, I don't prefer to heal on a paladin, or even DPS as one, and even tanking is not as fun as it was, but you can't deny the brilliant radiance of the paladin's abilities, and to make Holy even cooler, it has a two-handed weapon. Yeah, Holy Badass confirmed. Alright, there have been a lot of awesome looking abilities on this list, but coming in at number 1 is a Destruction Warlock's Dimensional Rift. This is easily amongst my new favorite abilities in the game, just because it fits. It fits the lore of the Scepter of Sargeras, it fits the Destrolock class fantasy, because it's destructive. Being able to tear a hole through the fabric of reality to call forth globs of chaotic power to destroy your enemies is totally something Warlocks would love doing. It's truly the most badass way to unleash hell upon your foes, not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row, with a small chance of your primary spell Incinerate to refund the charge of your Dimensional Rift, to keep the chaotic juice a-flowin'. It may seem simple and lackluster compared to the others I listed, but for me, it just makes perfect sense, and is my new favorite ability in World of Warcraft. Doesn't help that I play a Warlock and I'm biased towards them, but hey, Warlocks, they're great. And their artifact ability, Dimensional Rift, is great. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit that like button. If you didn't like it, well, you know what to do. If you want to sub to me, feel free. It's very much appreciated. Until you see me again, live well.